Hello everyone. Today we begin an important topic in mathematical physics, which is the Fourier series. In real life situation, we encounter many functions or signals that are not periodic, but those which are periodic but not simple, such as square waves, like irregular oscillations, are difficult to analyze. So today we'll learn how to analyze such function directly uh, in a simple way, which is not that difficult. So Fourier series basically provides a powerful idea that any periodic function, no matter how complex they are, can be expressed as a sum of simple sine and cosine functions. So these basic trigonometry functions actually act like a building block, which allows us to break complicated behavior of the function into simple ones, and which can be well understood in easier way. So we'll learn about this today. Fourier series also simplifies our analysis and helps us understand the frequency content of a signal, which is essential in areas like signal processing, heat transfer, wave mechanics. So in this lecture we'll explore more of these series and how are these constructed, how to calculate their coefficients, why are these concepts important, fundamentals of both physics and engineering, how like how it helps in fundamentals of physics and engineering. So let us start off. So before starting off with Fourier series, let us see what a periodic function is. So what is a periodic function? A function which repeats itself or its value after a particular interval of time is periodic function. That particular interval which after which it repeats its value is called the period of the function. Sine theta, cosine theta are the only periodic function, and rest all functions are just combination of them. This is a fact that the only natural periodic functions are sine theta and cosine theta. Apart from that, all other functions are basically combinations of these functions, like combinations of sine theta and cosine theta. So basically, let us now look into what a Fourier series looks like. So a non-sinusoidal periodic function can be expanded into a sine and a cosine function, right? Let us first write the expression. So let us see that f of x is equals to a naught by 2 plus summation, and the summation is over n. All right, so summation n is equals to 1 an cos nx plus bn sin nx. All right, so this is basically the representation of Fourier series. How does it look like? It looks like a naught by 2 will all define what is a naught, what is an, what is bn, what is sine nx, cosine nx, everything. So just if we look at a glance what a series just looks like, it would be a naught by 2 plus summation over n an cos nx plus bn sin nx. All right, so this is how a Fourier series looks like. So now what is a naught? Where a naught is basically nothing but the reference level. All right, now what is an and bn? An and bn are the harmonics. So we'll look more into it. Just let us go into the next slide. So what are harmonics? Harmonics are basically what actually harmonics are? In simple terms, we can say that these an and bn, when expanded, like a1 a2 a3 b1 b2 b3, these are actually called harmonics. So these integers, these frequencies are not arbitrary, they are integer multiples of fundamental frequencies, and these components are called as harmonics. So talking in terms of physics, in sound we have encountered harmonics, like we had determined the tone or timbre of a musical note using harmonics. In electrical signals, they help us analyze distortions and sign equalities, if you remember. In vibration, they describe different modes of oscillation. We had found out the first harmonic, second harmonics. So harmonics are essentially the building blocks of a Fourier series, which allows us to understand complex periodic behavior in terms of simple sinusoidal components. So when we talk about harmonics in Fourier series, so we describe them as A1 and B1 being the first harmonic, okay. These are also called as the fundamental, all right. Similar, in a similar way, A2 and B2 are called the second harmonics. They are called the, just a second, it actually takes time to write in this way. So the second harmonics, and they are also called the first overtone, right? We have all learned this earlier. Similarly, A3 and B3 will be called as the third harmonic, and they are called as the second overtone, all right. And the series continues actually. So A4 B4 will be called the fourth harmonics and the third overtone. So where and this series actually continues till n, where A0, Bn and An are the unknowns. We need to find these constants using specific formulas. These are actually called, these A0, An and Bn are actually called the Fourier coefficients, all right. So we had earlier seen that as we know actually, that using Taylor series and power series, we can expand continuous and derivable functions, right? So then what is the use of Fourier series? Like when things can already go on using power series and Taylor series, what is the extra thing that adds on when we talk about Fourier series? What is the need of it when things are going on in a good way? So Fourier series can actually expand piecewise continuous functions also, all right. So for a function to be expanded into a Fourier series, the function need not be continuous and derivable always. It can also be piecewise continuous, all right. If a function is just piecewise continuous, also then we can expand it into a Fourier series, all right. So this is what is the speciality of Fourier series. It helps us expand almost a wide range of functions. So what can we say? Can we say that Fourier series actually expands every function? No, not really. Only those functions which satisfy a particular condition, called the Dirichlet condition, only those functions can be expanded into Fourier series, all right. So if we talk about Fourier series, if we talk about Dirichlet condition, what exactly is a Dirichlet condition? So Dirichlet condition is actually the prime condition which needs to be satisfied by a function um, in order to be expanded into a Fourier series, all right. So we'll now look into the Dirichlet. This condition can be pronounced in different way. I don't know if I am pronouncing it correct or not, but this is what I've learned earlier, so I'm saying it in the same way as my teacher has said me. So f of x is equals to a naught by e2 plus some constant into cos theta, again plus some constant into sin theta. Alright, so the properties of cos theta and sin theta should also be the properties of f of x, right? What we can say from this Dirichlet condition, because we can say that we can see that cos theta and sin theta are directly coming into the condition of f of x. So the properties of cos theta and sin theta should also be the properties of f of x. So now we can say that as sin theta and cos theta gives one value at a point, so they are single valued. So f of x should also be single valued, right? Like, what I mean to say is cos theta and sin theta gives a particular value at a particular point, right? There's no 2 point in a cos theta curve or a sin theta curve which gives two values for a single point. Alright, so it is this is called single valued. A function is actually called single valued when it gives a particular answer to at a particular point. But if a function gives more than a particular answer, like 2-3 values for a single point, then the function can be said to be non-single valued, right? Which is let us look into an example and things will get more clear now, clear then. So for example, if we consider f of x is equals to root x is equals to y. Alright, so this cannot actually satisfy Dirichlet condition. Why? Because as we can see that if f of x, if we put x is equals to 4, or let us consider x is equals to 9, just a second. X is equals to 9. So what will y be? Y will be root 9 can be plus 3 and minus 3 at the same time, because plus 3 square gives us 9. Also minus 3 square also gives us 9. So this is what I was trying to explain. This is not a single valued function because two values, that is plus 3 and minus 3, gives the same output, which is plus 9. So this is not a single valued function. But you cannot find any value in cos theta and sin theta curve for which the output is same. Like, you cannot find any 2 point or any 3 point or any more than 1 point in the cos theta or sin theta curve which gives same value, but the input being different, right? Here also the inputs were different, plus 3 and minus 3, but the output was same, which is plus 9. So this is a condition. Second condition being that cos theta and sin theta we know have values between minus 1 and plus 1. So cos theta and sin theta are bounded, right? So bounded in the sense, if a function has a limit within which it produces values, it produces its output, then the function is said to be bounded. And for cos theta and sin theta, the boundaries being plus 1 and minus 1, right? So cos theta and sin thetas are bounded, and hence we can say that since f of x also satisfies the condition of cos theta and sin theta, so we can say that f of x should also be bounded. Alright, now coming to the next property, cos theta and sin theta also gives us maximas and minimas. So f of x must also have at least one maxima or minima, that is one extrema. Extrema is a maxima or a minima is called an extrema. So sin theta, as I said that sin theta and cos theta has maximas and minimas, so f of x must also have at least one maxima or one minima. Alright, that is one extrema. Coming to the fourth property, number of discontinuities should be finite. That is, if any function satisfies the above four conditions, then the function can be expanded into a Fourier series. Alright. So what were the four conditions? Let us repeat once again. That the first condition being that it should be single valued. Alright. F of x should be single valued. The second condition being that f of x should be bounded. Alright. The third condition being that f of x should have at least one extrema, and the fourth condition being that the number of discontinuities should be finite. So let us pen them down. So it should be single valued, it should be bounded, it should have one extrema, at least one extrema. More than one is accepted, but at least one is needed. That is the minimum quantity, minimum criteria. One extrema and should be discontinuous at finite points. All right. So we can say that if these four conditions are satisfied, then a function can be expanded by Fourier series. Alright. Now we'll look into Fourier coefficients in the next lecture, alright, in the next video.